Hey everybody, I'm Phil.
And I'm Justin.
And together, we are Pajamas. And I apologize if either of us look shiny. It is like 90 degrees American at midnight. And we have no fans or AC on, so you can hear us. So the price we pay for videos is... yeah. But this is a special video because you had the idea that this is Pride Month, the time of the year when corporations pretend to care about us so they can make money off of us by branding.
If I'm going to be a commodity, then I'd like to have royalty checks.
Boom. There we go. Please, sir. Then you said for Pride Month, we should tell the story of how we met. Also, our first date, which was the same thing. So, we're here to regale you with a story of how Justin and I met. It is story time. Story time. 6 years and some change ago. Picture it. Ohio, 2015. I want to say that we met in very noble, very, something you could tell royalty, and they'd be like, we met through friends. We met through colleagues, met through work. I would say that, but I'd be lying.
Yes.
We'll just say we met on an app that rhymes with binder. And
take what life gives you and make it work.
There you go, right? Our options are not very, in our community, especially. I'm a homebody. I work from home. Then I was doing photography full time. So my only social interaction was with like models and other photographers. As far as I knew, there was no one from our tribe in that circle. So, I wasn't looking to date. Like, it was just that kind of thing. But, you messaged me first. What prompted you to message me?
Well, I took a chance, and when they did show pictures of themselves instead of something blank, and yes, there were also ones that didn't show the faces.
Yeah, that's always been a pet peeve of mine.
But there was one picture that actually stood out. First of all, I was actually able to see your face. And it wasn't some sort of erotic sort of, oh, no pun intended.
Like...
it was of you holding a camera, and you were in some sort of forest or wood.
It was a park, yeah.
And I noticed that this one had much more substance to it. Like, you actually wanted something more than simply to play around, but you actually wanted something serious and something genuine. I saw that this person is quite different from the others. And, well, I am not really one to like carbon copies of the same thing. Boring, everyday things.
Right.
And, when I saw that it was not only a picture like this, it was one that was actually of good quality. I clicked, and I actually saw other pictures that you had made. And, yes, I really liked your style.
Thank you.
And, to date an artist, I must go and see if this can work. And I really wanted to speak with you, to at least get into conversation with you.
Right.
And I clicked, sent a message, and you responded.
I did.
Which I was so happy that you did.
Cool. So yes, I get a message from... And I didn't really get messages that often. Like, it was a thing for me, like, I didn't use it to browse. I wasn't, like, on the prowl. I just had it just to see, like, if anyone's interested. There I am. You won't catch any fish if you don't put any bait out. So,
that's very true.
So that's basically what it was for me. Because I've never been like I don't know. I don't judge people who do. Like, if that's what that's what the thing is designed for hooking up. I've never been like a hookup kind of person. And I've always kind of been, and even with my profile isn't just like mask for mask, no femmes, all that horrible bullshit that you see in apps like that. My name's Phil. I'm a photographer. Blah, 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 blah. It was just like, a little mini bio. Like, you use the bio to talk about yourself. That's what I did. And then the pictures, I wanted the pictures if you're going to be interested in talking to me, then you should know who I am. And that's why my main picture is me sitting there holding the camera, wearing a shirt that I still own but can't fit into. Yay. So I guess the bait worked.
And in my description, I talked about how I was sophisticated, educated, and things like that.
Yeah, and then so you wrote, I responded. Then as we were just talking, I forget what the banter was. Specifically, we were holding an actual conversation. It wasn't like, can I see your dick? Stuff like that. Like I said, if you're into that thing, that's what the app is for. Fair play. Fair play. It just gets a little skeezy sometimes. It's like, come on.
And that's assuming that you're actually getting a picture from this person and not simply going to Google Images and get a picture of a beautiful looking dick and then sending it.
Yeah, getting catfished, pretty much, which I have been before. Another story for another time. Our conversation was very to the point, I guess. It wasn't, because you have a different way of speaking and a different way of thinking that I wasn't accustomed to. So I was you were interested, I wasn't sure if you were interested, kind of thing, but I think it was just you were just talking so matter-of-factly, and so that's how you speak. So then I think we planned to meet in a nearby town. There was a little local anime convention, Comic-Con type thing going on.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, and I was like, do you would this interest you?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, and I was going to go anyway, because I like to go into those with my camera, taking pictures for people, and then doing cool composites for them. Because my goal was to get into composite photography or do movie posters and stuff like that. So yeah, I would go there and I would have people wanted to get a composite, but I also wanted to dress up because I have a Dr. Horrible cosplay that I like to wear. I'm going to go to this anyway and photograph, so you can come with me. So it shows that I am who I say I am. I'm not just holding the camera, for ooh, this is what I do. You can see me in action, and we could just hang out in this really cool environment.
And we're in a public space.
Exactly. So we met outside in a parking lot, and I was so focused on the work aspect of it. It was still I still considered it our first date. But at the time I was do I have my batteries? Do I have my lenses? I'm all in work mode in my head, but I also wanted to be approachable and stuff like that. So yeah, we went to said convention and walked around. I took pictures. We saw a lot of cool cosplays.
Oh, yes.
Talked with a lot of cool people. You got to see me in my element. And I remember I needed a break because my condition, which was always one of the reasons I wasn't looking to date and one that I really couldn't fool around because I've went in depth before. And the What's Wrong With Me series about it.
You wanted to make sure that I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, and it's hard to, it's such a long story. It took me 10 videos to tell all of it. There's a lot. It's my last relationship ended because of this. So, and that one was, 13 years long. I was pretty much resigned to the fact that I might be single. And that was fine. I have no problems being alone. Even now as we're together, we still have, alone time.
Yes.
And it's unspoken. You're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, and then eventually...
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't see a need to have to explain it because it seems like something that is so much a part of our everyday lives that it's something that doesn't catch me by surprise. Oh, the sky is blue. Yes, like it usually is during the daytime, unless if it's cloudy. Then it's gray. That
was always in the back of my head. If I ever talk to anyone, maybe that's another reason I put all the pictures of me on there like that. This is the best I have to offer. But we sat down. I remember the first thing I asked you when we had time to actually, because we were talking on the way there, but I was still very much in work mode. So it was like conversation, It was nice, as you said, to meet out in public. There was no weirdness between us, no awkwardness, which was nice. And yeah, we'd go to this thing. I'm doing the pictures. Eventually I needed a break because I needed to rest my back. Photography is, you've done many shoots with me, it's work. There's a reason I had to go into retirement.
It's much more than simply focus the camera and press the button.
I get very involved in it. So we sat down. I remember the first thing I asked you was, where's your accent from?
And yes, and I was prepared for that too.
And he was like, that's what he did.
Yes. I knew that was going to happen, and I had prepared for this and hoped that you didn't mind that I'm actually not from another country. But that I had, ever since my youth, I had heard this beautiful accent the English accent. I loved it so much that I wanted to sound like it, and so throughout the years of my life, I've made myself sound like that for so long that it's now my natural voice. I don't even have to think and try to make sure to enunciate things in a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
It flows naturally. That's how long I've been doing this. Such as what I'm doing now. It isn't me trying to make sure that I am doing some sort of pretend thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I am doing without even thinking about it.
Right. So when you told me the story, I think you said you were 8.
I think so.
When you decided to just change the way you talked, and then you've just been talking that way ever since?
Yes, somewhere between 8 and 10, I think.
Okay. As he said earlier, he likes things that stand out. I'm a sucker for something unique. I was like, I've never met anyone that has had your demeanor, because you were very sophisticated, very posh. Had the accent to match. And the accent was incredibly sexy. I mean, it still is, but, you hear that, you're like, I love accents. I could know somebody who may not be British, but sounds British. It might as well be British, because how does one develop their accent in general? They hear it and they adopt it growing up. So that's what you just decide to 180 and go in a different direction. And then rather than being weirded out about it or thinking it was okay, I actually respected it. Like, somebody decided at a young age to change their accent to another country completely because they liked it. Imagine that being like being a little kid, you deciding that, and then all the things that would entail, because it's more than just changing the way you talk. It's going to change everything for you in your life.
And it will influence my interactions with other people.
Exactly, yeah. But the interesting thing is, knowing you for as long as I have, I couldn't imagine you not having the accent. What did you sound like before? I think it would just be so foreign. To me, I was just like, can I have the other one back, please? So immediately, the accent was, aces. I liked it. I liked it a lot. When you told me that, I was like, that's really cool. I think that's really neat.
I liked the sound of it. It sounded beautiful, and so I adopted it because I love beauty, and I wanted to have a beautiful voice.
I think he succeeded. And then, we hung out. We eventually went back to my place. We did kiss goodbye.
I was nervous and worried because I really wanted this to work, but I also wanted to be honest and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So I had prepared many reasons for why this and why that, and, well, you simply came up to me and we kissed me already.
Yeah, and after that, we just kept seeing each other and we never stopped. Like, we don't really have an official, this is the date we started dating. We went from friends to, partners, whatever. We don't have that.
It grew.
It just kind of like evolved. There was interest. We kept seeing each other.
And throughout that time, you always reminded me that if I'm ever uncomfortable or there's something that's bothering me, to tell you, and I can easily go my way and we can still be friends anyway.
Yeah. And meaning that if we weren't going to be romantically involved, I still wanted to be your friend. I still wanted to know you. As I've told you, I've traveled the country 4 times over, been to almost every single state. I never met anyone like you. I was like, so I have to stay in contact with this person because, like, you don't like pass up unique, cool things. That's silly. So yeah, our anniversary date is March 21st, and that is the day that we went on that date to the convention we first met. Because when we met, we just never separated. We've been together ever since.
And it's easy to remember because it's always the first day of spring.
Right.
The season often associated with love.
There you go. And I think it was also like an unspoken thing where we knew we were going to be exclusive. Like, we have our own opinions on monogamy and polygamy and all that stuff, which we also lined up with. Like, we both agreed on that as well. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Given your history and given my history, let's see if we can give a fair chance to make this work. So it was everything just kind of happened organically for us. I think the only awkward part was our personalities, because I asked earlier if I could bring this up and you said yes. Mm-hmm. You have Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known people with various stuff on the spectrum, but I never actually had been in that close contact with somebody that had it. So was a learning curve for me on how to interact and communicate. Because oftentimes because you speak so matter-of-factly, you show your emotions in other ways. You are emotional. Not like that. Like, you do have emotions. You don't express them in ways other people do. You have your own ways of expressing yourself. So I had to learn that.
It's a very common misconception that we don't have emotions. We do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We only express them differently.
Right, exactly, yeah. It's been interesting, in a good way. I know I use that word too much, people tell me. But I find things in life to be very interesting. I find thinking and a lot analytical stuff and all of it fascinating. So interesting is my go-to, which is another reason that we clicked, because we're like, one problem we did have, and this wasn't your fault. He would over-explain things to me to the point of you're kind of getting insulting.
In my experiences with most people, I've had to explain things like that in order for people to understand what I'm saying.
Right, yeah. And at first, again, that was my learning curve. I didn't understand, but...
I wasn't trying to demean your intelligence in any way.
Yeah.
It's that I've had to do this generally, and, well, still getting to know you, well, I'll have to go through the usual thing unless if I find any alterations needed.
Right. Because one thing I've learned about the way you think and the way the way your brain works is that, it's about habitual things. You don't like to be taken off of your
routine.
Exactly. So looking back, I understand it now. You were just going through the routine in your head of explaining things how you've always explained them.
Yes. Like, for example, whenever we talk to people, English-speaking people, whenever we say tree or water, we expect them to know what we're saying, that they're thinking the same thing that we're thinking of when we say those words.
Right. But I would tell him, I would verbally say, I had to say it in a way that you understood that I understood. And it got to the point where you understood I understood where you were coming from, and you understood where I was coming from, that all I had to say was, okay, you're starting to be insulting. And you'd be like, and then you would course correct.
And, well, all that you had to do was say it. Again, matter-of-factly, because that's how I act and react.
Yeah, and it's one of the things, like, I can't stress enough. People will ask, well, how do you make long-term things work? You can't give a blanket answer because everyone's different. Our personalities are vastly different, but we make it work. Just as Mom likes to say, opposites attract, because we're opposite in so many ways. And we even say that we're kind of like two puzzle pieces that fit together.
A yin and yang.
Exactly.
That, yes, we have our differences, but we also have our similarities within ourselves.
Yeah.
We work with each other, not against each other.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like one of the biggest things you can do. So no matter, like, try and find the common ground. Because if you expect someone to be 100% like you want them to be, then you are probably in for a rude awakening, or going to be in an unfulfilling relationship. Or the person that's with you is just going to be unhappy, because who wants to be in a controlling, domineering... That works for some people. That's what they want. Everyone's different. Totally get that.
Maybe there are some people who actually want that.
Yeah. Doms and subs. The biggest piece of advice I could ever give to anyone is communicate. Communicate. And yelling, being dismissive, I don't want to talk about it. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. It's not communicating. That's just some, like, mental mindfuckery. Stop doing that. Seriously. It's obnoxious. I've said this before, and it's my defense, people. If you cannot communicate like an adult, you do not need to be in an adult relationship. I firmly believe that. And I think that's why we work. That's why it worked until now. Now it's just second nature with us. We don't have to work at it. It's just, we're so used to each other. But just communicate. If I feel like you were over-explaining, communicate. If I did something that you didn't understand, or like we would get in like these discussions, and I would give like a viewpoint that maybe you hadn't thought of, you would just ask me to explain it. So I wouldn't the best I could. You are more left-brained, I'm more right-brained, but we have the commonality, the overlap of intellectuality, of being intellectual, that you know more about history and philosophy and all that stuff than I do. But I know, and I've done my homework, so we can still have conversations where we have the common ground, but then I'll learn something new. That if we talk about like other stuff, I'll point something out in a way that you didn't see it. So it's just back and forth. Cliche, but communication. 100%.
And I have absolutely no regrets for being in this relationship with you.
Either. I do feel bad, as I've told you, because you sacrifice a lot to be with me. You don't see it this way, I know that, but one cannot deny that being with me is a burden. Because physically, I'm very limited. What I can do, like where I can sit and other stuff. And if I think about it too long, it could be bad news. So I try not to think about it. I know you don't like the saying, but it's one of those, it is what it is kind of things, But in this instance, it is. Like, it just is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. You've been with me long enough that you've seen the setbacks. You've seen the progress. And then the setbacks and the progress. And then the setbacks. You saw me lose almost 60 pounds in a year. And then 2 weeks later, a car pulled out in front of us. Yes. You had to stop really fast to avoid rear-ending them at a whiplash, and I was back to laying down in bed.
I do feel bad about doing that to you, but at the same time, it's better that happens instead of a worse injury happening to you.
Like, I was
if I were to simply let that thing happen.
Yeah, and I was never mad at you. You knew that. One of my things that I also something makes me mad or I get pissed off at something, when that kind of stuff happens, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the situation. I'm mad that it happened. You just happened to be there, which sucks.
I may have a degree of control over the car, but I cannot control what the other cars do.
When we first met, it was that thing, I was like, being with me is kind of sucks. But I try and make up for it by being as nurturing and accepting and, big-hearted as possible. Like, to be the best boyfriend that I can be, given the circumstances that we're in. I've heard the stories that you've told of people that you've tried to date before. And my number one goal, I have two goals. One is to make you safe. Like, when you walk in that door, I want you to feel safe, no matter what. And then number two is that I want you to feel comfortable being you. Even though we had the personality conflicts in the beginning, because I had to get used to getting to know you. From the stories you've told me, and people have used it against you or tried to change you or belittle you for it, my goal has always been to just let you be you. I don't ask you to change. I don't ask you to, even stuff that I wish, we won't get into it, but you don't laugh. You've explained it, I've accepted it, and I'm not saying it to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm using it as an example of just, if you love someone, then that's just one of his quirks. For me, someone's laugh is very, very sexy. To me, male or female, there's just something very sexy about it, because it's like your own personal stamp. Just like how you show your emotions your own way. You show your reactions to things in your own way. And you just have to learn that, I wish it was this way, but it's not going to be this way. So accept it as this way, because this way is fine. It may not be what you wished or expected, but there's nothing wrong with that. You can't have everything your way 100% of the time. There has to be compromise. Another thing I would stress, compromise.
It's something that I would think that every relationship would have to
You'd be surprised.
Be comprised of.
Wow. Especially given people that are close to us. I'm not going to mention any names, but where's the compromise in their relationships? Exactly. So have enough self-awareness, be in touch with who you are, but also respect that the person you're with is another living person with their own thoughts and feelings and viewpoints and objections and reactions, etc., etc. Your philosophy, your way of thinking is not the end-all be-all. I guess one last thing I want to add, which ties into this, is I think 2 years of being together. I knew I wanted to get him on camera, because we'd have these awesome conversations and these awesome interactions, and I started saying to you, I wish we had filmed that. How many times did I say that?
Many times. Yeah. And I kept on thinking, who would have wanted to watch that?
Well, I mean, in fairness, in the videos, he's more popular than I am, which is totally fine. Why wouldn't he be? I'm abrasive and opinionated. You're the sweet one. Good cop, bad cop. I mean, not even on purpose. You get opposites. Because I just knew that you had such a unique perspective and outlook and way of delivery and way of thinking. And then the way we melded together, the opposites attracting, the yin and yang, that it would translate. I thought it was palpable enough to translate on camera. And eventually I won him over. And he started appearing in videos. Yeah, he started appearing in videos. And now any worry is gone. He's a natural, like I knew he would be. And we are, a little spoiler, we're slowly working on a couple ideas for Justin to do some solo videos. If we can get those to come to fruition, keep an eye out for those, because they're going to be awesome. It's one of those things where, I know you're still kind of hesitant on them. Remember you were hesitant before, and you trusted me, and it worked out. Remember that? You're hesitant.
Yes.
I just know it's going to work. Like, just trust in that.
Give myself more of a chance.
Yeah, exactly. I can see how it's going to translate fantastically. Like, viewers out there who don't like me, imagine that. Videos with no me. You know you want that.
Oh, Philip.
So yes, that is that's story time. Story time. The story of how we met. And
you weren't the only one that had to learn things. Like any other relationship, I think that both actually need to learn to live with another person.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. That's a given no matter what. Yeah.
Yes. I've had to make sure not to make too loud noises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very fragile.
Yes, such as even something as simple as doing the dishes. I need to make sure that the dishes don't clink too much, especially if you're in the room.
Yeah, I usually, it sounds really absurd. It sounds absurd. And I know some people in our lives think that I still get the he's faking it thing. You know, I have x-rays and I have someone that's, you've felt things, you've heard the pops.
Oh, yes.
It's, yeah.
Even with something as simple as you simply raising your arm.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I heard a pop.
Yep. And then boom, like the pain sets in.
And it wasn't because you were lifting something or about to do something extraneous. It was something as simple as a hug.
Yeah, yeah.
And when hugging, I've had to learn also to be gentle. I cannot squeeze you too much, simply to let you know that I'm here.
Right. Yeah. I tend to not initiate the hug. I tend to kind of give the signal of how strong the hug can be. Like, I do the hugging. Like, I'm the embracer and you're the embracee. Kind of like that, which works.
I need to be gentle. You're my delicate flower.
Your delicate nightshade. I do get down about it, like the sacrifices that you have to make.
Yes, but I would also think that this actually shows how very much I am into this, that it isn't purely eroticism, there's actual romance.
Yeah, yeah.
That the fact that even with all of these, do I still want to be with you? Yes. Because being in a relationship is about many things. It's about developing a bond that is mental and verbal. It's so many things.
Yeah.
Much more than simply physical.
Yeah. Like, do I wish it wasn't like this? Oh, yeah. I wish I could just snap my fingers and be magically 100% again. Life would be vastly different. You know, I've lost going on, well, over 12 years of my life. I've been in constant pain. I mean, the fact that my last long-term relationship, my only relationship prior to you, ended because of this. So, yeah. I remember I asked you a few times in the beginning, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I was like, are you sure? Because when someone that's been with you for 13 years leaves you because they don't want to put their life on hold for you anymore, direct quote, you know, that's going to stick with you.
It would be understandable that you'd want to ask, are you sure? Are you sure? Because maybe I'm not. Or maybe I think that I am, but I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The rabbit hole of my condition goes deeper than surface level that people just see and think that's contrived and all that.
It can make it difficult to actually believe that when I said I'm sure, that yes, I was sure and I'm still sure.
And I'm glad.
And I'll continue to be sure. I love him.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Since it's going to be on the internet, I think that it's too late. I think everyone in the world will now know. Let's tell the world that we love each other. I love Philip.
I love Justin. Carmia.
Mon cher.
I think that's going to wrap this one up. We are sweaty messes. We might look shiny and gross. We've been talking for a while. We need to get some air in this apartment. Yes, before I melt and he looks more glistening and beautiful, we're going to kick the AC on, get these fans on, get some airflow in here, and take a little break. It is warm.
Even when I sweat, I glow.
Exactly. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
My bag's